Welcome in to the Lindsay Beckham Show. Happy Monday, everyone. We're live here in the WYAB studios. We are also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And we have some very special guests that we are going to talk to today about some very important issues that I think everyone needs to most definitely be aware of. But as you know, we start the show every day with our words of wisdom, our quote from our Live in Liberty Daily. Starla, I don't think you've been here since I started to read from the Live in Liberty Daily book, but these are little nuggets, little 30-second to a minute quotes from our founders that we can apply to our everyday lives. Today's quote is from Abigail Adams, and this was taken from her letter to the one and only John Adams back October 25th, 1775. He said this: "Every virtuous example has powerful impressions in early youth. Many years of vice and vicious examples do not erase from the mind seeds sown in early life. They take a deep root, and though often cropped, will spring again." I love that so much as a parent, especially.
Right.
Train up a child in the way they should go. So that gives me hope sometimes when they get to be teenage girls and they lose their mind for a few years, that those values that I have hopefully instilled in them will rise again. So I love looking back at the things that our founders said and their vision for what this country should be. But today we're joined on the Lindsay Beckham Show. And of course, here we believe in protecting children, empowering parents, and standing for truth always. And we have one of our very favorite people, Miss Starla Brown. She's the state director at Americans for Prosperity, proud sponsor of the Lindsay Beckham Show.
Yeah.
And then she's working on some very important issues, and she has met our new friend here. Now, I'm going to let you say your name because I will butcher it.
Adam Jahnke.
Adam.
Jahnke.
Jahnke.
Yeah.
Weird, Yankee.
Weird old school German name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, Starla, tell us about this, the veterans issues that are so important that we need to be so aware of today.
Right. So we have a bill called the Take Care of America's Veteran Act. It's 60 plus vital pieces of legislation in one bill that will help our veterans with numerous things. But one of the things that it's going to do is some of you may remember the Mission Act if you're a veteran listening. Shout out to my cousin John, a Vietnam vet who I know is on today and listening in. But if you're a veteran and familiar with the Mission Act, there were a lot of changes that allow for veterans to have more access to healthcare outside of the traditional VA system. So if something's 10 minutes down the street instead of an hour's drive, and it's best for you, those were some of the things we wanted to achieve. I'm going to have Adam take a real deep dive into this act that's before Congress and kind of give us a position on the bill. Adam is a Purple Heart retired Marine. He served 2 times in Iraq in between 2005 and 2010, as a combat veteran. And he's worked in veterans advocacy. He's a clinical social worker at the Veterans Affairs in the past, but he's currently a strategic director for Concerned Veterans for America, CVA as we call it. We're sort of one entity, and AFP and CVA are both supporting this act, but he is a sister organization to us, or maybe I should say a brother organization in this case. So Adam, I'm going to let you take it from here and tell us all about the Take Care of Americans Veterans Act.
And first and foremost, Adam, thank you for your service. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this bill and for that kind introduction, Starla. So I didn't join the military with the hopes of one day fighting for veteran type benefits, right? Like my trajectory of my life was I signed the dotted line. I went in the infantry. I did my best overseas with my brothers and sisters, and some of us didn't make it home. And the ones that did are bearing the wounds, some visible, some invisible, of that global war on terror, that 23-year blank check our country wrote to fight in Afghanistan and Iraq, with an enormous financial cost tag and a human life cost tag. So that kind of led me on the trajectory of being a veteran advocate. As I had a very hard transition to civilian life, not unlike many veterans that separate from the Department of Defense. Getting back to civilian culture is a challenge of its own. especially if you had extreme hardships in your service. So that led to my bad transition to civilian life. And then I really was dedicated to being one of those trusted professionals in the VA system to really walk beside everybody on that healing journey, because I had to figure it out myself first. And then I had to get the degrees and the clinical skills to then provide those services to veterans, only to come into roadblock after roadblock in the VA system. There's so many issues, but it's one thing to throw stones and say, here's a problem. It's another thing to come with solution in hand. And CVA and AFP have been that leading voice in that solution. We're definitely not the only voice. But as Starla mentioned, the Mission Act. A lot of veterans still don't know that in 2018, under Trump's first administration, CVA and AFP wrote and got the VA Mission Act passed. And what that did is allowed veterans in large quantities to utilize community care options. CVA, we're not trying to kill the VA. We're meaningfully working for third-party audits to find the waste, fraud, and abuse and fix that system. But veterans can't wait for a bureaucratic government program to get fixed. They need alternatives and choice when it comes to their healthcare. A lot of people also don't know that veterans in the VA system can't choose their doctors. You're just assigned. You have no control of your outcomes. You're just in the referral process and you get kicked left and right. Now, some veterans are lucky. They have some of the best VAs in the country. Others are not. The only difference is they have no control of the outcomes of whether they have a good VA or a bad one. So what the Mission Act did is it allowed veterans to use community care if they met certain distance requirements from a VA or wait for care in VAs. And from 2018 to now, 43% of all veterans are using community care. So it's wildly popular, as you would imagine, having choice in your doctor. Like Starla said, I'd rather go see the best oncologist in the country down the road for me rather than a 3-hour trip to the head VA hospital for it to possibly be canceled, right? And also you can do your own research and find doctors that like fit that mold for you. But that kind of led us to where we're at today. And today, as of the last 2.5, 3 months, we've been fighting for the Take Care of America's Veteran Act. And that is the largest omnibus veteran bill since we reformed the GI Bill in the early 2000s. This is a massive bill and opportunity.
So who is sponsoring this bill? Who's behind it, I guess, in Congress? Of course, I know that we all need to call our representatives and our senators, congressmen, and ask them to please support this. But who actually authored this legislation and decided what all was going to go into it?
I think it was a joint effort between the Speaker and Chairman Bost to really get this one out the gates. There wasn't a lot of windup to it. It came about 3 months ago. It's got 60 bills in it. 3 of the most popular bills in this is the Veteran Access Act, the Major Richard Starr Act, and the Love Lives On Act. And I'd like to kind of speak about all 3 of those a little bit.
Yeah, I was just about to say, can we go through some of those and you kind of tell specifically what they would do and what they would mean for veterans here in America?
Yeah, so the Veteran Access Act is CVA's bread and butter, and AFP. We've been really pioneering what alternative healthcare options can look like in the VA system as we work to improve the VA medical system as well. So what the Veteran Access Act does is it takes all the most popular provisions in the Mission Act and codifies those standards in law. So the first thing we'll see is instead of the regional VA systems interpreting access standards, there's going to be one national federal system for eligibility based on wait times and distance from the VA. The VA by law is going to have to reach out to all veterans to let them know they qualify for this program and how to utilize this program, which is the biggest missing piece of the puzzle from 2018 to now, is that a lot of VAs are hostile to this program and are doing everything in their power to not let veterans know how to utilize it.
Why is that? Why do you think it is that we see VAs not want this?
Well, it's a threat to status quo, right? Instead of viewing it as another treatment option to really get veterans the care they need in a timely manner, they kind of, I can't speak for everybody, but a lot of VA employees are viewing this as a threat to their bureaucracy, for lack of better words, right? When it should be viewed as just another tool in their tool set to provide expert level quality care. And I think that's why the majority of federal unions are kind of opposing this bill right now, is because they don't want to have that perceived feeling of competition in the market where we're just trying to let veterans choose what works best for them. And if they choose private healthcare, I mean, that's a reflection of your organization. Maybe focus on improving care so that veterans choose you in the future.
Sounds a whole lot like y'all are facing the same problems we face here in Mississippi when it comes to school choice, that parents
Mhm.
want to decide what the best fit for their kids is, because there's not one size fits all, right? So it makes sense to have the free market works.
Absolutely. That's like the most logical correlation between like a state level program that makes sense. Instead of having the state government or the federal government having a monopoly over educating the future of our children, maybe the parents might know better, right? I just removed all 5 of my kids from public schools this year, and I'm not homeschooling them now, right? That's a choice and a sacrifice my wife and I decided to make based on our values. But it's really similar to the veteran argument, because if you're in a healthcare system where you're just a number and you can't choose your doctor, and half the time your appointments are getting canceled, you're not meeting a clinician or a provider that meets your own medical needs, that's the opposite of empowerment, right? So it's all about just broadening
Right.
choice so that veterans do have access to some of the best providers in the country. Shouldn't be viewed as a challenge. It should be viewed as another opportunity for a positive healthcare outcome.
Absolutely, and especially veterans of all people, these people who risk their lives, put their lives on the line for us, for our freedom, for our country. We should want them to have the best healthcare that fits their specific needs.
Yeah.
There should be no argument whatsoever to this. Starla, do you-
Absolutely. And Adam, I think you touched on something that's really important for people to understand. And maybe you can speak to this, or I know we'll be getting to a break here in a minute, but when you talk about veterans showing up and their appointments being canceled, this is a problem. And there's a way for the VA to do this where it doesn't look like people are waiting as long. And I've seen this happen here locally. I've heard people talk about it. They make their appointment and sometimes they just go down and there's no notification. But, if you've driven, 2 hours to get there, that's a problem. That's a real issue. And we shouldn't be making our veterans wait to have health care. It's significant times. And we've seen the outcomes of this and we've seen stories about it. Maybe we can talk some, over the hour about some of the veterans who've shared their stories about the wait times to get care.
Yeah, and that's the case in Mississippi a lot, because there is a long drive time for so many. If you live away from the central Mississippi area, it's hard to get
or
to.
the Gulf Coast. Yeah. One
Right.
of the two. So,
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're going to take a break. So, Adam, stay right there, because there's other parts to this omnibus bill that I want you to talk about and explain to us, that hit the major points, at least the biggest takeaways from this bill, or the biggest pros that our veterans would receive if this bill is passed through Congress. And we can't let this die. We can't let it sit on the calendar or fall off the calendar. We've got to be proactive and use our voices to make sure that our veterans have the very best access to healthcare and the best access in general, because again, these are people who put their lives on the line for us. So y'all stay with us. We are going to take a break. We're going to be right back here. This is the Lindsay Beckham Show. We are live, 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. WYAB. We will be right back.
Keep it tuned here to 103.9 WYAB.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to Rheem partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Rheem and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue. Hi, Kim Wade here. Cork and Door Company has been providing quality residential garage and commercial overhead door products to Mississippians for over 50 years. Cork and Door is a supplier of garage door parts and services such as LiftMaster, commercial and residential door operators, as well as Clopay, sectional commercial and residential doors, Asta, commercial sheet and rolling steel doors, and Cornell, rolling steel and shutters, with many in stock for the same-day pickup. Corkanddoor.com. That's Corkanddoor.com.
When it comes to protecting what matters most, experience counts. And the Rusty Healy Agency has been serving Madison and the rest of the Jackson Metro for over 35 years. Local agent Landon Thompson is keeping that trusted tradition going strong. As a local independent agent, he's not locked into one provider. The Rusty Healy Agency can shop the top insurance companies to find the best fit for you. And everyone knows that the Rusty Healy Agency and Landon Thompson offer top quality local customer service. Contact Landon today at 601-856-3681. United Piping is now VSC Fire and Security. At VSC, they will continue to be a trusted contractor for the inspection and installation of fire sprinkler, fire alarm, security, life safety, and low voltage systems. For nearly 7 decades, VSC Fire and Security has provided each and every customer with comprehensive solutions through outstanding design, efficient installation, reliable service and repair, and experienced expertise. Contact Greg Goza, Greg Bell, or David Benton in VSC's Ridgeland office to be your premier provider of fire protection and life safety solutions.
This is Demario Davis from the New Orleans Saints. As a Brandon, Mississippi native, I've seen the positive effects Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge has across the state. Help us restore broken families and fight against addiction by donating an unneeded vehicle, even if it doesn't run. Mercy House will pick it up for you. All paperwork is handled and you receive a tax deduction. Call 601-572-7296 or visit vehicledonationsms.com.
Thank you for helping us get our daddies back.
Fraud is everywhere these days. The good news, there are simple steps that you can take to help stay safe. AARP Mississippi is hosting free fraud prevention events to help protect yourself, like free shred events that let you safely dispose of sensitive documents, and free fraud prevention workshops in person and online. Register for a free fraud prevention event at www.aarp.org/ms.
From Mississippi, where faith, family, and freedom still matter. This is the Lindsay Beckham Show.
Welcome back into the Lindsay Beckham Show. We are joined today by State Director, Mississippi Americans for Prosperity, Starla Brown, and then Adam Jahnke. I'm never going to get it. J throws me, Adam. I'm so sorry. It just throws me. What is it? The Spanish name, is it Juan? But it starts with a J, and I'm always want to say John. I can't get it. It just, my brain, I know it, but my brain, it just fools me. But for Caring Veterans of America, and this is concerned, caring. I'm concerned and I care. So we'll throw both of them in there. But we're talking about this Take Care of Americans Veterans Act and the different pieces of legislation that have kind of all gone into this big bill. I love how Trump says a big, beautiful bill. That's what he calls omnibus bills. Right. That's his language for it. So we'll call this one a big, beautiful bill for veterans. That's my take on this. But tell us, Adam, so we were just talking about the Veterans Access Act, yes, which access to health care. So not forcing them to stick to one provider, then be able to have the opportunity, the freedom to choose their medical care provider and not be limited on those options. But there are other parts of this as well. There's the Major Richard Starr Act. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say 2 more points on the Veteran Access Act that I think is really important that I didn't get to in the last segment, which is a lot of the issues with the Mission Act as it was currently written in 2018 is the VA just not following the intent of the law. So a lot of the language in this reformed bill is fixing that misinterpretation and making sure veterans get access to the care they need. So part of that is there's going to be a website for a self-scheduling portal, because the way the Veteran Access Act was, or the Mission Act was implemented, was that every regional VA hospital made a community care department. So what in effect they did is they created a layer of bureaucracy on top of bureaucracy, which added artificial wait times to you communicating with a private healthcare doctor to get the care you need. So now with the Veteran Access Act, you got a self-scheduling website where you could track all your referrals and communicate with all the parties to be to make sure you can just go see your doctor and get it done. And then also the most exciting part of that is a true choice pilot for inpatient mental health and substance abuse. We've been talking for 30 years now on the climbing number of veteran suicide. We've thrown money at it. We've tried everything we can think of. The VA's expanded mental health treatment, and the outcomes are much of the same. But what I can tell you, having been a clinical social worker in the VA in the substance abuse program, is that when a veteran's ready for change, they're not ready for change 9 months from now. They're ready right then, right? And the worst
need
thing
that immediate
exactly. The worst thing you can tell a veteran is, oh, okay, well, you're ready for that substance abuse treatment or inpatient mental health treatment. Now you got to wait 6 months or 9 months, or we can send you to Washington State. There's a VA that's got 1 bed space in Washington because they're trained to try to put you in placement within the VA system first, regardless.
And they may not make it another 6 months or 9 months.
So we're hoping this true choice pilot, if a veteran qualifies for healthcare in the VA system, they can just show up to the pre-approved facilities when they're ready for treatment without a referral to start getting that critical care that's needed. So we're really hopeful that these reforms and changes are just going to expand better healthcare access and really make a dent on that suicidal ideation.
And that's so important, Starla, for veterans more so than anybody, I would think, especially with what we see in the mental health battles that they face after they've been overseas or after they've lived through traumatic experiences. You know, sometimes you don't have time to wait. You have to have that mental health treatment, somebody to step in right then, or you may not be here.
Right.
I think that's extremely important. So tell us about the Richard Starr.
So the Richard Starr Act was, the namesake of that bill is Major Richard Starr, and he was wounded before his 20-year mark for Department of Defense traditional retirement standards, got wounded in combat, and was medically retired. Now, the way the rules are written now, not to get too into the weeds on Department of Defense retirement systems, is that if you're wounded in combat, you get a percentage of a percentage of a percentage of your DoD pension, which ends up being very insignificant. So I'll use myself for an example. I was wounded in Iraq. I was medically retired, even though I was trying to re-enlist. No fault of my own, but I only had 5 years in and I was only an E4, right? So my CSRC, or combat-related special compensation, is a percentage of a percentage of a percentage, which ends up being like $200. Now,
okay, that is shocking to me. As just a normal American citizen, that is shocking. I bet there are not a fraction of people that know this, because I would have thought we do everything for the ones, especially the ones that are injured.
So the whole intent of this bill is to fix that injustice for those who were combat injured to be able to collect their DoD pensions and their VA compensation. Sadly, Major Richard Starr succumbed to his injuries a few years ago, not seeing his project come into reality. But his brother, David Starr, is advocating for TAVA, and I've been in talks with him the last few weeks, and he's doing everything in his power to get this done for his brother. So what it does is it allows combat wounded veterans to be able to collect their DoD pensions and VA compensation. And to most, that's not asking for much, because they almost paid the ultimate sacrifice.
Absolutely, 1,000,000%. And I think that's something all Americans would be on board with. And again, I'm willing to bet there are not many that don't that know this, because to me that blows me away. I would think that we would go above and beyond to make sure they get all of that, especially like you said, they almost paid the ultimate price.
Right. And to receive the care they earned. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Well, Richard, there's another piece of this called the Love Lives On Act.
This is my favorite part.
Okay.
You know, this is my favorite part.
And so if you could speak a little bit about this, you know, it allows surviving partners, right, of deceased service members to remarry and still collect their survivor benefits for themselves and for their children. And I think it's a really important piece here. I don't think people should be penalized, or especially women and children, for getting remarried and down the road. But if you could speak a little bit towards that piece, I think that's an important part for people to remember that's in this bill.
The fact that it's 2026 and this injustice hasn't been fixed yet is not acceptable. this entire 23 years of the global war on terror, thousands of service members dying, and the people that ultimately pay the price more so than the service members is their families, right? So there's a bunch of programs. There's the Survivor VA pension for surviving spouses. There is TRICARE for life to ensure that those families have health care. And then there's also a educational benefit for those children to make sure that their college is covered. Now, if that person decides to remarry, it all goes away, which is an injustice. They already paid, their family paid enough. America should have their back for them and those kids to be able to have access to those benefits so they can have as high of a quality of life as possible.
Yeah.
And
1 million%. I think we've got a call coming in for you, Adam. Let's see. Caller, are you there? They may have hung up. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, so I'm actually widowed, and me and my 5 children live on survivors benefits and Social Security benefits, and I can't imagine faulting a widow or widower because you remarry. Okay, I think the caller's calling back. Caller, you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm an old retired Army first sergeant. Just taking calls.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm an old retired Army first sergeant from the Vietnam era. I retired from the Army in '89, so I've been dealing with the Veterans Administration for quite a few decades.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me that all of a sudden, now that Donald Trump has regained office as commander-in-chief, things are changing a bit at the VA.
You see a change for the better?
Yes, better.
That's great. What's your experience been like?
Well, I was an air cavalry door gunner in Vietnam and crashed and burned twice, and luckily escaped pretty much unharmed physically. Now, mentally, that's a whole other category.
Yeah.
But my experience with the VA in past has been, I left them alone. I started going to them. I was diagnosed by the VA in 2002 with type 2 diabetes due to Agent Orange exposure. Now I've got hypertension, seizure disorders, and quite a few other things. But the VA hasn't been remarkably consistent with their medical care.
Yeah, and that's been your only option.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to make sure I got the combo with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but the VA has some new programs that have just appeared recently within the last couple of months. Home health care, telehealth, they call it. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but they sent me all kinds of blood pressure cuffs and blood pressure monitors that are connected to another device that communicates all that your blood pressure, your blood sugar readings, and a variety of other necessary things like that, and it's sent directly to the VA.
So somebody's always able to access and monitor your vital signs. Well, yeah, thank you so much for your call. I appreciate it. I'm glad things are looking better for you. And I'm going to let Adam respond to that right after we take this break, on the other side of this break. But thank you for listening, and thank you for calling in today. Thank you again for your service.
Okay, have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, we're going to take a break, and then I'm going to let Adam talk about maybe some of those things that he's seen, the improvements under this administration. So y'all stay with us. This is the Lindsay Beckham Show. We will be right back here, 1039 WYAB. Here, 1039 WYAB.
WYAB.
When it comes to protecting all the things that matter in your world, generations of folks in central Mississippi have trusted Allstate agent Mark Dwyron. Mark knows the right coverage with the right price, helps you feel secure and protected. For decades, Mark's been a trusted agent protecting you against mayhem that is unpredictable. And he's always just a moment away when you need him. Mark Dwyron. For auto, home, life, and more, you're in good hands with Allstate. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit AmericansForProsperity.org. Be a part of positive change at AmericansForProsperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Evertson. The Iran war stalemate continues. Iran says it has reached a deal with Oman over a plan for ships to transit the Strait of Hormuz. ABC News military and diplomatic contributor Steve Ganyard.
There are all sorts of things the U.S. can do economically. Sanctions, yes, we do that, but we never really enforce the sanctions. So there is the ability here, if Treasury really puts its mind to it, to force the Iranian economy to the point that the Iranians have to blink.
Dozens of House Democrats demanding answers from the Trump administration about critical mineral agreements amid reports that the Trump family and members of his cabinet could profit from those deals. The hearing is taking place related to Nick Reiner, accused of stabbing his parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner, to death last December. Reiner seeking access to his trust fund to pay his legal bills. Opening statements in Las Vegas in the Tupac Shakur murder trial are going on. The hip-hop star was killed 30 years ago. This is ABC News.
Hello, I'm Gary Jolly from the Tractor Store. LS Tractor understands your passion for the land, and just like you, LS Tractor is committed to excellence and superior products. LS Tractor comes with a long list of standard features that are unmatched by other brands and backed with the LS commitment to provide exceptional customer service and satisfaction. You get a lot more for your money with the LS Tractor. Come to the Tractor Store in Richland to experience the LS difference. The Tractor Store in Richland.
All Britain's Jewelers. When love requires a gift, nothing says it better than All Britain's. Since 1920, we've been part of your family. From weddings and anniversaries to holidays, we've been there for every special occasion. At All Britain's, we value your trust. Every gift, whether large or small, is a reflection of our commitment to quality and excellence. There's a reason we're still Mississippi's foremost diamond merchant. Let us show you why. All Britain's Jewelry, 4460 Old Canton Road in Jackson. All Britain's Jewelers.
You had an accident. Now you're hearing aftermarket parts, insurance company preferred, and a lot of other noise that serves to confuse you. Call Clinton Body Shop. We'll keep it simple. We are certified by 19 vehicle makers to assure you get a proper repair. We care about your investment and your safety. Call the shop who only wants one partner in the repair process, and that's you, the owner. In Clinton and in Richland, we work for you. We take pride in perfection.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Are you craving a home-cooked meal without the hassle? Come over to McBee's Bar and Grill in Ridgeland for their Blue Plate lunch specials. Served up every weekday, at McBee's it's a different entree every day. Chicken spaghetti on Mondays, beef tip Tuesday, pork chop Wednesday, spaghetti Thursday, and catfish Fridays. And McBee's Blue Plate lunch comes with 2 classic southern sides and cornbread or a roll. McBee's specials are served every weekday from 11 to 2. McBee's, buzzing the res since 1982.
Did you get us switched over to shelter insurance?
Actually, I found a deal online.
You did? Does your deal come with award-winning customer service?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Does the deal include a local agent?
Doesn't actually say.
Can we create a customized plan that fits our needs? Let's just call the local shelter agent.
For insurance that fits just right, find a shelter agent near you.
Located in Ridgeland and Flora, come see me, Jamie Creel, Shelter Insurance.
From Mississippi, where faith, family, and freedom still matter. This is the Lindsay Beckham Show.
Welcome back into the Lindsay Beckham Show, live here in the WYAB studios. Also streaming live, Facebook, YouTube, and X. You can call in to the show, 601-879-0002, or text in to the Lindsay Beckham Show text line, 601-879-4648. And today we are joined by Starla Brown, the Mississippi Director, Americans for Prosperity, and then Adam Jahnke. Yay!
Yeah, all right, I think you got it.
Concerned Veterans for America. And we are talking about this Take Care of Americans Veterans Act. And so we had a caller call in at the end of the last segment, Adam, who talked about he has seen some improvements under this administration as far as access to medical care. What can you tell us about that? Do you think there's been more improvements under this administration than in the previous several years?
I think it's just a switch in vision, right? Like, what is the priority of each administration? And realistically, how much input can they put into a bureaucratic system in 4 years to meaningfully reform it? And I think that's why CVA and AFP come from this from a policy and law standpoint. Because if we get the foundation right in policy and in the laws, then they have to do it by law, which is a huge difference. Because whenever you do transformative change in a federal bureaucracy, whether it's one, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, what happens when the next group comes into control? Now, if you did not pass any meaningful laws, then they're just going to strip it down and go back to whatever they think is best, right? Which ends up costing the taxpayer in the end. But what the caller described is the VA being forced into modern medicine because of COVID in reality. They did not previously really provide telehealth treatment. And he really was touching on like some of the hardship that the Vietnam generation went through and some of the health conditions that are unique to that period of service. And so what the VA did is they expanded a lot of home health options. But here's the problem. You're only going to get what the person sitting across from you knows. Meaning, if they just hired a new clinical social worker at their VA or their clinic and they are not up to speed on the 50 other programs that they can provide a veteran, you're not getting those. Right? But if you're in a good VA where they're super connected and they bend over backwards to really evaluate you and come up with an action plan for you, then you're going to thrive. The problem is
really where you live, your zip code.
It's not happening for all the veterans, and you almost need a doctorate in bureaucracy to navigate these situations. When I first started at the VA, I was in the primary care department, where a lot of those resources get connected to veterans. And what broke my heart is a lot of these veterans are coming in after a long career. They never really went to the VA until they retired. Now they need help. They have a lot of health conditions that have been unaddressed for 20, 30 years. And then if you get the good person across from you, you can get a home health nurse, you can get a home health aide. There's all these resources out there to make sure that veterans can thrive in their home environment. But if you don't get the right person in front of you, you get nothing. So that's my frustration with those programs. Yes, it is a step in the right direction. To make sure you got occupational therapists, home health, rehab, nursing, whatever you need based on your condition, every veteran should have access to. But in reality, it's the quality of the person sitting next to you that decides whether you get it or not.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because it shouldn't come down to that type of bureaucracy of one individual determining your health care, codifying these laws. And again, as we talked about, we're calling it TAVA for short, but it's the Take Care of America's Veterans Act. There's 60 plus pieces of legislation in here. And I think, Adam, one of the things that, we at AFP and you at CVA together are working on is just making sure that we understand codifying things in law isn't, like you said, and you made that comment, it's incredibly important because it's not so easy to just come back in then, under a different administration and say, well, it's not really law, so we don't really have to adhere to it.
The executive orders don't work for long when the next administration comes in.
Right. So the accountability piece here is really critically important. And, I think, Adam, one thing we should talk about too are our next steps for people because, we've got a timeline here that we're coming up on in Congress and
calls to action.
And what can we do? So I will say this, if you'd like to reach out to your delegation here in Mississippi, you can go to Americans for Prosperity Mississippi. And we actually have an action alert you can fill out. It takes you about 2 minutes at best, but it'll send a direct letter to your members.
You don't have to write it; they do the hard
right,
part for you.
Everything's done. You just have to click on fill out the information, and they'll receive information that you support this. And if you're a veteran out there who supports this, I regardless of how you think your official's going to vote, I think you need to have your voices heard, because when voices are loud all across America and in different states, I think it's important for those members and other members that they work with in committees and across the voting spectrum to be able to say, here's what I'm hearing in my state, right? So no matter where you are, you can go and do that. I have friends on Facebook, I'm sharing it, and they don't all live in Mississippi. They live in other states as well. And so that's one thing you can do. Obviously, a phone call directly in support of that is important. Adam, what else would you say people should be really helping to amplify this message?
Yeah, we unfortunately got a really short window to pass a very, very, very transformative bill. And the reality of politics is that some of these bills are towards the end of their life cycle, meaning they've been around for 6, 8, maybe even 10 years. Doesn't matter that they were the most co-sponsored pieces of veteran legislation for the last 5 years, which the Richard Starr Act was. The last 4 years of Biden's administration, it didn't come up to a vote once. So if you're waiting for a perfect bill, in your opinion, nothing will happen. But I'm telling you right now, if we don't get this one passed, a lot of these bills are going to die, and this change needs to happen now. So your voice does matter, whether you want to email, call your elected officials. You can get into the grassroots fight with Starla in Mississippi. There's a million ways to help, but no one way is the right way. But we do need to hear your voice in this fight, and that's going to help us really get this thing across the line.
How can people stay updated on the status of this legislation?
Go ahead,
Yes.
Adam. I know you guys are tracking, and AFP as well, but you have some things on your site that are helpful for that as well.
Yeah, so Concerned Veterans for America, we have a website, the CV4A.org. And if you just go on there, it spells everything that we've done and what we're doing. And if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get a weekly update of what's going on the Hill, vote counts, like all the inside details, and also what we're working on next. So that and our social media accounts are a good barometer of kind of what's going on and why. But with politics, anything can change the next day, right? So we're just ready to, one, get this one across the line and fight as long as it needs to get these bills passed.
Yeah.
And Adam, I'm guessing Concerned Veterans for America is run mostly by veterans. Would that be accurate?
Yes, ma'am. I think the majority of all of our employees are veterans, but more importantly, the ones that aren't add such a unique and critical piece to the puzzle. Like my co-worker in South Carolina, Jen Depew, she is the spouse of a door gunner on a C-130 gunship in Vietnam. And his story is that the VA scheduled his oncology screen. After 20 days, canceled it, scheduled again, canceled it. They did that 5 times over 100 days to make it look like there wasn't a 20-day wait for his oncology appointment, only to get that screen and to find out he had cancer.
That could have been caught a month earlier.
Yeah.
So everybody in our organization, their why and what they're doing and why they're doing this is because of death, loss, horrible experiences at the VA, and all the above. And whether you're, the niece of a veteran, everyone in this fight matters. And you don't just have to be a veteran to understand why this is critical. And I think a lot of our coworkers that are not veterans, in a lot of ways, have served just as hard as we did.
Yeah, as Americans, we should all find this critical.
Well, and as for me, I'm a daughter of a Korean veteran. My dad served 4 years in the Navy. I was talking earlier today with another family member who's a veteran, and we were talking about a great uncle who served in World War I, and actually, I guess would be a great uncle for me, and then a great uncle who served in World War II. And I was actually sharing photographs of memorabilia that I keep in my house. I have the dog tags from my great uncle who served in World War II, and different things that were part of his life that were important to me. So, because I have so many family members who are veterans across, going really all the way back to the Civil War in my family, my great grandfather died in service there. And so for a very, very long time, there are people like us who support our veterans and understand the importance of this. Healthcare policy crosses across all pieces of the community. But our veterans have a program that's set up, and it has failed them. And there are issues around that we need to correct. And getting this codified into law will help so many people. Like Adam said, we've had some of these bills around for a very long time. Adam, I don't remember how long it took to pass the Mission Act, but it was a very long time that we all fought for that as well. 8 years. Yeah. And so we can't wait 8 years to have the health care that they've earned. And so I think when Congress comes back, we need to send a loud and clear message to them. If you're a veteran, you'd like to share your story, I'm happy to do that. You can call me at 407-913-9459. If you've had an experience or you support this, you'd like to share your story, we'll be happy to help you amplify that. But what we'd like to see is we want to make sure that Congress comes back and they get this passed now. It is no longer an option to be waiting.
Or even family members, because I think everybody should be completely outraged that someone who did pay the ultimate price, should that spouse choose to remarry and move on with their life, they're penalized for it. Their children are penalized for it. That's disgusting, in my opinion. That needs to change. That absolutely has to change. We got to take our last break. I want to leave a little bit of room on the other side of this last break so that you can again tell people where to find you, how to follow along, and get those calls to action so we know what to call about, how to do that, and we can get this through the finish line. It's time to get this done. So y'all stay with us. We're going to be right back here to wrap things up here on this Monday afternoon here on the Lindsay Beckham Show, 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
WYAB.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to Rheem partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Rheem and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue.
When it comes to protecting all the things that matter in your world, generations of folks in central Mississippi have trusted Allstate agent Mark Dwyron. Mark knows the right coverage with the right price, helps you feel secure and protected. For decades, Mark's been a trusted agent protecting you against mayhem that is unpredictable. And he's always just a moment away when you need him. Mark Dwyron. For auto, home, life, and more, you're in good hands with Allstate. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
At Flora Animal Hospital, our team doesn't just take care of your pet's needs. We feel like it starts with the pet parents. If the pet parent is informed thoroughly and understands the situation with the animal and why certain things need to be done or certain medications need to be given, it's easier to get that done. Our website is floraanimalhospital.com. It'll take you straight to the online store where your medicine can be purchased, food can be purchased, prescription or non-prescription, and they will be shipped straight to your front door. floraanimalhospital.com.
Grill lovers already know about Grills of Mississippi, and so should you. Grills of Mississippi carries premium Weber grills, Yoder smokers, and outdoor kitchen accessories to take your backyard cooking to the next level. Whether you're a weekend griller or a serious pitmaster, Grills of Mississippi has the brands, the knowledge, and the service to help you do it right. Turn your backyard into the ultimate gathering spot. Visit grillsofms.com today. Grills of Mississippi, where great cooking starts.
Hey, this is Ben Ingram from the Braves Radio Network. We're in commercial right now, so I want to let my sister take over and tell you about Hometown Property Group.
Thanks, Ben. This is Mary Claire Putman with Hometown Property Group. Whether you're buying or selling, we are committed to guiding you through your real estate transaction with integrity, exceptional service, and remarkable results. Madison County has been my home for 40 years. I'd love to help make it yours, too.
That's Hometown Property Group. Give them a call at 601-853-6080.
Remember when Saturday meant tackling 3 projects before lunch? Now you need a nap after buying the lumber. It doesn't happen all at once. Energy slips away a little at a time. Focus does too. The team at Live Better Men's Health and Wellness helps men get answers to low testosterone, fatigue, weight gain, and more. Because getting older is mandatory. Feeling old is optional. Learn more at livebettermen.com. That's livebettermen.com.
Are you thinking about your next vehicle purchase?
Hi, I'm Casey Ellis, owner of Ellis Autoplex in Brandon. If you've been searching for a clean diesel or half-ton truck, your search is over. At Ellis Autoplex, we specialize in the vehicles people actually want. Whether you're upgrading, buying your first truck, or looking for something the big dealerships don't have, Ellis Autoplex is worth the drive. Stop by and see why more and more people across the Southeast are choosing Little Truck City. Follow us on Facebook or shop online at ellisautoplex.com.
From Mississippi, where faith, family, and freedom still matter. This is the Lindsay Beckham Show.
All right, welcome back in for the last couple of minutes of the Lindsay Beckham Show. I want to thank Starla, Americans for Prosperity, and Adam, Concerned Veterans for America, for being on the show today to talk about this very important issue, this legislation that it is time to pass here in the great United States of America. So we only have about 2 minutes left, so I want to get your final thoughts. Adam, go ahead.
Final thoughts on this bill is I wish we had more time to advocate for it, but the reality is if we don't get this bill done now, the likelihood of the majority of these bills ever seeing a reality of passing is almost zero. And I say that because it's unacceptable, and we do need to get it done now. What other compromises need to be made to make this a reality? I think we need to seriously consider that. And every single voice in this fight counts. So if you can contact your elected federal delegation and let them know you're in support of TAVA, that makes a massive difference.
And it's CV4A, right? That's the website.
Yep. CV, the number 4A.org. Yep.
Okay. Starla?
Well, hey, I agree with Adam. The time is now. And so AFP is strongly supporting this bill. And we encourage all our veterans across the state to make sure that you reach out. And that you encourage other veterans in your community and family and network across America to reach out. It's time to pass this good legislation, and let's take care of our veterans.
Absolutely. If there's one thing that is most important, if there's someone that deserves the best health care, in my opinion, and I think in most people's opinion, it should be those who sacrificed and who risk it all so that we could continue to have the freedom that we have here in this great country. So definitely I encourage and urge everyone to reach out, make your voices heard. We are stronger together. And I'm telling you, a politician's biggest fear is not being reelected. So let's make sure that we let them know how important this is to all Americans and that we want to take care of our veterans. Again, so much. Thank you so much, Starla. Thank you so much, Adam. Thank you for your service. I will be back here tomorrow, same time, same place right here at WIB. I'll see you then.